In this video, I'm going to show you how I made this summoning portal, the perfect terrain piece to bring forth otherworldly beings for your RPGs and wargames. I'm starting off with the base of the build by cutting out a piece of XPS foam with my sharp utility knife. I want this to look like a dungeon floor, so I'm going to make some 1-inch tiles. I prefer to rough this in with a pen first before any cuts are made. After the grid is in place, I use an X-Acto to carve the lines. I then take a dull pencil and trace the X-Acto lines to emphasize the grout joints. I do this for all the lines, making sure they get the ones on the side as well. I'm going to be using rolled up tin foil to give this dungeon floor some proper texture. I press the foam with different pressures to create a variety of depths within the floor. An X-Acto knife is also used to create even more texture, this time focusing on the edge of the tiles to create a more weathered look. I create a gravel filling by mixing wood glue and sand. This is going to be used to fill the larger cracks within the tiles to create some variation. I also drop in some sand in concentrated areas to create even more texture. Next, I get started on the pillars by cutting out a variety of rectangles from XPS foam. I'm using a hot wire table for this, but a sharp utility knife will also do the job. These pillars are roughly 1 inch wide, and will eventually have a smaller piece in the middle to break them up. I'm dry fitting all the pieces to make sure everything is a good fit. The pillars are then textured similar to how I treated the floor. A great benefit to crafting with XPS foam is its ability to take on different textures. The pieces are dry fitted one last time before gluing the pillars down. I'm sticking everything together with quick dry wood glue. An alternative approach would be to magnetize these pillars for a more transportation-friendly terrain piece. I begin the central part of the build by cutting out a circle from XPS foam. I'm using a jig for the hot wire table to help with this. This piece is textured to match the rest of the build. A summoning circle isn't complete without a pentagram. I created my design 2 sides on the computer and printed it out. I then poked holes in all the corners to transfer the points to the foam. I connected these points with my X-Acto, resulting in the pentagram. Similar to the tile base, I take a dull pencil to emphasize all the lines. I also weather the edges and fill the hole left by the jig. Next up is to base coat the build. I'm using Apple Barrel's black paint for this, making sure to apply this in a thin coat to not obscure any detail. After letting it dry, I realized at this point that I wanted to add a bit more to the base. I glued another layer to the bottom to give the build more height. I created tiles and textured this new base in the areas that are showing. This extra step makes the platform look more like an altar. I did the same with the central circle, cutting it thinner and adding a new larger circle underneath, making it look more like a stepped altar. Once I was happy with it, I glued it down to the base. The unpainted foam was then base coated black to match the rest of the build. Next, I source a bunch of files to 3D print. The 3D printer has been a great way to enhance my builds and increase creative options while crafting. I printed this altar, a bunch of candles, and this very fitting summoner mini. I primed the models in black and then gave them a spray of white from above to bring out the details. Back to the build. I ended up adding a circle to the pentagram since it was looking a bit bare. Time for painting. I'll be using the following apple barrel craft paints. The grays are mixed to create a variety of hues. Similar to my stone ruins video, I'll be using an overbrush technique to paint all the tiles. I'm covering the majority of the base coat with gray, but just enough so that the deepest recesses are still black. I continue doing this, painting each tile one by one and swapping between grays. Painting with a variety of different stone colors creates a very interesting look. I'm making sure there isn't too much paint on my brush while painting the summoning circle, since I want the pentagram design to remain dark. I go back and add a lighter color in certain spots to bring out the highlights. Next, I take some brown paint and put it onto the areas that I previously placed sand. This will help break up the gray. I'm making sure to overbrush this color on as well to maintain the shadows. At this point, I noticed my pillars were looking a bit incomplete, so I added some end caps and painted them up. For this step, I made my own weathering pigment by scraping a soft pastel with an X-Acto. I placed this into the deepest recesses to emphasize the shadows. Time to bring this portal to life. To do this, I'm going to be using my airbrush. The drop-off in transparency creates a perfect glow effect. I then move on to this lighter teal color, concentrating it only within the cracks. I also lightly spray this teal color all over the inner part of the altar to create some object source lighting. Back to the printed bits. I'm going to be using the Skeleton Horde contrast paint to quickly paint up all the candles. I'm using the color blue-green by Vallejo for all the flames, since I want them to look magical and match the summoning circle. The bits are then taken out of their supports and are ready to be placed. I begin to stick down all the bits using superglue. The creator of these candles is Pellinor1, an amazing bits designer who shares his work on Thingiverse. I'll leave a link to his page in the description below. Next, I'm going to mix up some moss by combining PVA glue and flock. This will help add some contrasting color to the build. I focus the moss within the cracks, especially the areas painted brown. Finally, I painted up the summoner, making sure to paint his magic to match the glow of the portal. And that wraps up this build. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for future hobby content. I'll see you guys in the next one.